Piccadilly Press presents The Journey Home, Book 2 in the Nell and the Cave Bear series, written by Martin Brown and read by Holly Taylor. Years ago, deep in the woods, a thin girl with long dark hair walked along a track leading away from the circle of simple huts she called home. Over her shoulder she carried a leather sack, which wriggled with every step. After a while she came to a small clearing and carefully lowered the sack to the ground. She stood for a moment staring at the bag, then gently raised one end so its contents tumbled out onto the grass. She knew what she had to do. This was a test, and she knew it was a test she was going to fail. Leaves rustled in the darkness beyond the clearing. She frowned, then picked up a small rock and threw it hard into the trees. "Ow! That's what you get for spying on me," said the girl. "You're going to be in trouble," replied a hurt voice from the shadows. The girl looked down at the 6 tiny wolf cubs at her feet. "Huh," she thought, "that's for sure." Chapter 1. Years Later. Small animals snoozed on cosy laps. The fire crackled and danced, its light throwing the storyteller's flickering shadow to the far wall of the hut. Her tale of the once-upon-a-time people who had lived in the valley was only halfway through. She looked around at the glowing faces of the children and continued. It was colder in those days, but times were good. They could hunt and catch whatever they fancied. Some liked the fish from the river. Some preferred meat from the herds of cattle and deer that came to the meadows, while others thought the woodland on the far side of the river was the best place to hunt. But whatever they chose, everyone agreed that they should only take what they needed until... "We've heard this 1,000 times," one of the older listeners interrupted. "The people who hunted in the woods started hunting for fun, blah, blah, blah." The storyteller gave the child a level stare. "Thank you, Ben. I'm telling the story for Nell and our other Cave Clan guests." The children all turned to look at their young visitor and her pet cave bear. Nell's face reddened under their curious gaze. "Anyhow," the storyteller continued, "the rest of the tribe thought what they were doing was wrong. So the woodland hunters crossed the river and never came back. The remaining valley folk stayed happily together by the river. But as the years went by, the fishing drew some towards the sea, while the herds led the others up the meadows. And eventually, the tribe knew it had to divide yet again. It wasn't a sad parting this time. Everyone knew they would visit each other as often as they could, just like now." "That's right," laughed a voice from the shadows. "Our great-great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents just didn't like seafood as much as yours did. But still, here we are, together again." "Yes, Dave," said the storyteller Laura. "And very welcome you are too." Everyone had heard the story before. The fishing folk had become the Sea Clan, living by the beach and riding the waves in boats. The cattle and deer hunters had become the Cave Clan, snug in their rocky hillside hideaway. And the Woodland Clan had stayed brooding in the gloomy forest. Now whatever contact they had with their ancient cousins tended to turn out badly, something that Nell understood only too well. "Tell us about how you met the Woodland Clan, Nell," piped one of the little ones, "and how you got away." Nell gave Laura a despairing look. "Perhaps that's enough storytelling for one evening," Laura said with a smile. "I think Nell and Cave Bear might be quite ready to forget the whole thing." Up the twists and turns of the dark river, deep in the woods and beside a much dimmer fire, an old man sat in bearskin clothes on a bearskin rug, definitely not forgetting about it. He couldn't sit comfortably. In fact, he could hardly sit at all.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?